run the 100-meter dash or the 440, and it relayed, the baton is passed. So right now, our remembrance of Srila Prabhupada and Srila Gurudev and the Guru Varga is how will we take that baton and push it on to others. This is one thing that Prabhupada mentioned to me at one time, and also Srila Gurudev, and I've taken that seriously, even though I may not be qualified to do it, but my desire is to do it. Because when I was having a conversation with Srila Gurudev, and to me, I don't see difference. There's their own individuality. But Gurudev and Prabhupada, they're on the same mission, on the same boat, rowing. It's like a rowing team. They get in the boat and they're all rowing in unison. But the boat is one. But they're different individuals, but they're going in the same direction. So they've come and they've put us on the boat. So we also have to row too, in the proper direction. What does the proper direction mean? With the proper conception. When we think about the word consciousness, what is consciousness? Can anyone say? This is how I like to speak like it's the ghost. So I'm not trying to dominate the conversation, but these are things that are important to understand. And years ago, when I first came to the movement, a devotee described to me, what is consciousness? The totality of thoughts, ideas, concepts, feelings, and emotions. And this is the energy of the soul. So, with those thoughts and ideas, the pure soul comes in contact with the material energy. And the material energy contains the three modes of material nature. Goodness, passion, and ignorance. So when we see through those lenses of those different colors, we become contaminated. But the Bada Jiva has been in contact with the material nature since time immemorial. You can't trace back when that happened. So what is this called? How do the conditioned souls come in contact with Maya? This is Krishna's Srishti Leela. So we can't say, well, why did Krishna put me in this condition? Krishna is of himself, by himself, and for himself. So the pure devotees have come, Srila Prabhupada has come, Srila Gurudev has come, so many others are still here, because if there was no pure devotees on the planet, it wouldn't exist. So our very desire to want to have actual sadhu sangha, or associating with pure devotees, they're here. And when they hear our cry, they will manifest. But the biggest thing is to develop the proper conception. When I spoke to Srila Gurudev about this point, from Bhakti Tattva Vivek, how Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur mentions, misconception is our greatest enemy. We may read the books, we may hear lectures, but if we don't develop the proper understanding and the proper conception of what's being conveyed, you won't get anywhere. We'll develop some Sukritis from it. Just like when we perform activities, there's two types of activities are performed. And that Bhava Rupa is one. With our actions that we perform, there has to be a certain type of bhav or mood. We can't perform it begrudgingly. Srila Prabhupada often mentioned bhakti should be joyfully performed. We have to do it with an attitude of pleasing Hari Guru and Vaishnavas. But before we can please the Supreme Lord, first we have to please Guru. Srila Gurudev often mentioned it will start with Guru. If we can't please Guru, how can we please Krishna? Yasya Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, Yasya Prasada, Nakanti Kantopi. So we have to begin there. So our business, we come together on Maha Mahotsava, Prabhupada's Tirubhav, But it's not that we come to remember him just today. We should remember him every day. Guru should be glorified every day. Not just every day, but every moment. When we have something that we value and we become attached to it, that's actually the association. Srila Gurudev, and I mentioned this before in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Bindu, he says, where he's describing Asadhu Sangha, association of non-devotees. But he said just being in general proximity, and you may go to the store, you do so many things, you come in contact with so many people, but you're not associated with them. Association implies attachment. So whatever we're attached to, that's what we're associated with. So right now, in various relationships, we have so many things, but internally we have to cultivate that relationship with our Gurudev and the Vaishnavas, the pure devotees. Atul mentioned that, and I was looking here, this verse about Satam Prasangam. But this verse, one of my favorites, Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoya Sadhu Sangha, Krishna Prema Janma Teno Puna Mukhya Anga. The root cause of bhakti is association of advanced devotees. And when one's consciousness becomes awakened, it says that same type of association is the most essential thing. So for years, I would always think, oh, I got initiated by Prabhupada. And that conception that, oh, that's all you need. But everywhere Prabhupada would talk about sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha, sadhu sangha. It's not so much a secret, it's an open secret. But for eternity, we have to be under guidance. But a lot of times, our ego won't allow us to do that. It won't allow us to hear from someone else. What do they have to say? Oh, they did this, they did that, I can't hear from them. But Prabhupada would often mention, we can take gold even from a filthy place. Yes. So sometimes we have to develop the mentality or the conception to be able to hear. What is intelligence? Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, intelligence is the ability to analyze things and put it in its proper perspective. So if our intelligence is tinged, how can our intelligence be purified? By following Hari, Guru, and Vaishnavas. If it's in Shastra, we may not be able to digest it at this point, but we can't think that the pure devotees made mistakes. If we think that Prabhupada made mistakes, well, why did he write this, or why did he say this? That makes us unqualified to understand. So we have to use our intelligence to say, right now, I can't comprehend this. But how is this? What does this actually mean? This is why I was watching a video and Prabhupada was laying just before he left. And he quoted this verse, Nasta Praeshu Vajreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Slokir Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. And in that purport, it's a wonderful purport, because Prabhupada, I'm paraphrasing, either or, the person Bhagavat or the book Bhagavat is sufficient to help you. But at the end of the purport, he says, therefore, the association of the person is required in order to understand the book Bhagavat.
What book is that?
Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 2, text 18. Yes.
It says it in the purport.
Yes. And here's another one. You may like this one. Panchalila, chapter 5, text 131. Sri Ramananda Roy is speaking to the Brahmin. So it's really essential because we're all struggling with what to speak of our own mind and body, family, so many different distractions. But these are things that are called eventualities. And we can't blame anybody else for whatever condition that we're in because we made the choice. I like to quote this from one musician. Life is just a game and there's many ways to play and all we do is choose. So we have to make our next move our best move. So we have to pray for the mercy and the guidance of our superiors. And pray just because we say, well, Prabhupada, he entered Samadhi, but that doesn't mean he's not here. We're the ones who are unqualified to hear. Just like we don't hear the Super Soul. But he's right there all the time. We're acting like we're hiding. Oh, I mean, no one can see me. It's like an elephant trying to hide behind a stick. It's not possible. Not possible. But we have to just pray for the desire to become pure. Not just to become pure, but bhakti will manifest. Bhakti manifests in the heart, even in the most disgusting, abominable individual. Bhakti Devi is completely independent. And if we just try to be sincere, we may have billions and billions of faults. And I do. I don't know about anyone else. But I've always tried to be serious and try to continue to go on. So Srila Prabhupada, the inspiration, we come today, and this is the 48th anniversary of Prabhupada's Tirobhav. And sometimes it cuts so deep at that time. And I realized Prabhupada actually never left. And when I came so many years, I met Gurudev in 1978, the first anniversary of Prabhupada's Tirobhav. And I was amazed by his enthusiasm in the kirtan. As though I was what, 21 years old? And, just his enthusiasm. I didn't remember really one word Gurudev mentioned. But he came so many times, and I still didn't go. But my blessing, by the blessing of Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, and that stopped me from being such an ass, always want to work. I can't go. And so it slowed me up. So I look at it now, that was actually a benediction. Didn't feel like that back then. But, I'm sitting here now and remembering the order of Srila Prabhupada, what he mentioned to me, to continue to push on the Krishna consciousness movement. Well, what is the Krishna consciousness movement? Is it just an institution? The Hare Krishna movement. Does that mean it's only one particular institution? No. This is all Mahaprabhu's movement. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, he spoke the article, Organized Religion. This may be one you'd like to look up as well. It's on bvmlu.org. He's Puru Prabhu's site, where Srila Bhakti Siddhanta mentions organized religion. So Prabhupada said there's many societies of pure devotees, and if one just associates with one, so we can't be biased toward other devotees and other societies of pure devotees, but everyone's going according to their level. And it's not that we have animosity toward any other devotees. You always offer respects to Vaishnavas. But you hold association with those devotees who are what? There's two characteristics of association. Swachati and Shnigdha, yes. Because without someone who is more advanced than you, and they're going in the same direction, but the main thing is they have affection for you. Because all of us are driven by affection. We're always seeking affection. You can catch more bees with honey than vinegar. So to be like devotees, in order to associate with one another, we have to show some kindness and love and affection and concern for others' situations and try to help them to the best of our ability. So Gurudev would often mention those devotees who are senior, they should help to uplift the younger devotees. And those who are junior should show respects to the seniors. But that doesn't mean lord it over them. So sometimes this thing about being senior, it's a scary thing. So you're around a longer time. But it doesn't mean about how long you were around. Bums are around a long time. But these are the things that, I was, and to me this is like it's the ghosty, so I want to speak my heart. Because the other day when I came to Govardhan Puja, I was so overjoyed to see the devotees all coming together and working and working. And it inspired me. Even when the program was over, I said, okay, I'm going to go back to do what I used to do, wash pots. So I stayed here and washed some pots. I was so enthusiastic about it because to see devotees come together and work together, without it, if we all have our own self-interest, and I'm going to, from something that inspired me, I'm going to show it, and no offense to anyone, but this is a mandatory book, I'll say, for anybody. Mandatory, if you want to understand something. Prem Prayojan did this book, and I've had it for a long time, and I have it in New York, but I didn't really crack it open. But the other day, my wife had it sitting there, and I said, okay, let me open it. And I started reading it. It was like, blew me completely away. So the Drops of Eternity, you're going to have to get a whole bunch of copies. And if you don't have them, I'm going to call Janava Takarani and tell her, make sure she brings them. And I think it's something that everyone should get, because it's like a breath of fresh air. It shows the unity and how devotees can come together and really work. Because sometimes we have to put our own interests in the background. The process of bhakti is that. Pure bhakti is what? Our own self-interest. When our own self-interest becomes the pleasure of Hari Guru and Vaishnavas, then it's pure. Sometimes if you really love somebody, you'll set aside what it is that you needed to do in order to satisfy them. Because ultimately, this is the eternal condition of every living entity. It's about what Krishna wants. It's not, okay, well, Krishna wants something, but I 5 for Krishna, 1 for me. No, 100%, everything. And think about it right now in your consciousness. Right now, in the place that you are in your development in bhakti, is everything for Hari Guru and Vaishnavas? No, I can't say that. But we have to come to that platform at some point. So what does that mean? Surrender. Full surrender. Krishna's my maintainer. Krishna's doing everything. And when we think, no, I'm doing it, Maya. And that's just here. Okay, Krishna's doing everything. 1 minute later, I gotta go do this. So Prabhupada mentioned to a devotee, he says, oh Prabhupada, sometimes I fall down, I fall down into Maya. Prabhupada says, you're always in Maya. Sometimes you fall into Krishna. So this is our plight. So we have to do self-analysis to try to really understand the nature of where we are. And then applying what? Trinadapi Samichena, Tarodapi Sahishnuna, Amanina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadhavi. This was one thing that Srila Prabhupada had great concern for. And it doesn't mean it was just in the institution of ISKCON, but it's in all different societies that my disciples don't get along and they're not sufficiently afraid of Maya. That's universal. That's universal. So we have to put a concerted effort ourselves with whoever we're in contact with and we're associated with. We have to try to think about that. I'm lower than the store on the street. This is one business that we had, and I mentioned this not long ago about this. I can remember in the beginning, people talked about going to the gym or working out there. We worked out all day because all day we paid obeisances to all the devotees, all the time. You walk in, someone comes in the door, you paid obeisances. You get up and walk and somebody else, and you're paying obeisances again, all day, maybe like 100 times. And you're giving hugs to the devotees, and then you're dancing in kirtan. We were too tired to go to work out in the gym. Forget it. But now, and this was one thing with the glorification yesterday, we were reading
Perfect.
No, we were, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj was glorifying Srila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj. And Srila Vaman Maharaj says, I've seen 3 generations of devotees. And the generations is the standard is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. So up to us. So, not that and he's a pure devotee, he sees all. But we have to put forth the effort at least to try to show that we can come up to the standard. He said, okay, well he said we're getting weaker and weaker, it's okay, well, let's keep up. No. Because he quoted this, and I remember hearing this, and yesterday we spoke about it again. See everything, hear everything, but don't speak about anything. That means material. Oh, this person has this fault, blah, blah, blah. Hear it, see it, don't talk about it. Because then that quality or that characteristic will come into you. Gurudev would say it's like an electrical cord. Like you have a live wire, and you can stand here and throw water, and the electric will come through the water and get you. So in that way, when we criticize or find fault with others, those faults come to us. But there's a difference between criticizing and critiquing for the betterment. If you see something, and you don't have to give names, such and such was like this, and this was not good because this could lead to this or that. So you're giving someone a heads up. Okay, I don't want to go in that same path and end up like that. That's not criticizing. So, on this day, we're praying, not just today, but every day, like I mentioned, every moment. Because our Guru Varga, they want us to come to the platform of Vishwambhena Guru Seva, very intimate association. But it's not just external. It's got to come from the heart. It has to come from the heart. If not, because what about, I've heard so many things. Srila Gurudev was very kind to me. And he told me some things about Srila Prabhupada when he gave me shiksha of the Guru Mantra and Guru Gayatri. Have I realized it? No. But he was very kind to me, and he told me those things that I'm praying. Only thing I can do is get myself or pray to put myself to have that type of desire that will manifest itself. And when Swarup Shakti descends, then the manifestation of all of those things will take place. But we can't force it. We can't force it. Okay, I've been doing this for 25 years. You know, Gurudev told me this 25 years ago. Okay, where is it? Only thing I can take responsibility is for what I've put in. As Krishna mentions in Bhagavad Gita, as they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. So if no results are coming, why not? And we all have to examine ourselves. So these are all glorifications of Prabhupada. These are all the things he preached and more. And more. But I personally like to think I'm not qualified to speak about Krishna's Ras Leela and so many other things. I'm not denouncing it, no way. This is a very, very high thing. But I really think if devotees don't get a foundation to be able to stand on, those things will go completely over their head. And this is happening on a regular basis. And younger devotees, and in my experience, I've had devotees call me and ask questions about Ras Leela and different things, and I'll ask them, do you know the 5 basic truths of Bhagavad Gita? And they can't answer it. The Supreme Lord, living entity, material nature, eternal time, and what? Karma. Yes. So this is my test to them. If they can't answer that, there's no need to go. There's no need to tell you how did Krishna put 2 more arms in when they were in Paitigam. How did that happen? Why would you be concern right now. Get a foundation first, and then these things can come. So these are things that Prabhupada often talked about, and sometimes people would say, well, Srila Gurudev, he's saying these things. Gurudev had to say them because he wasn't speaking for everybody. I was in a lecture, we were there in Govardhan, and Gurudev said, I'm speaking this, but those of you who I'm speaking to, you know who you are. He said, the rest of you will get some Sukriti. And I heard it and I was like, oh, okay. But later on, then I understand what he was saying. I said, well, I wasn't one of the ones he was talking to, but I got some Sukriti because later on, some of these understandings, some of these conceptions came into my heart. So we have to pray like this and try to come together and have the type of association that's enthusing and encouraging to one another. And those who are juniors sometimes don't think if someone says something to you, like once Gurudev scolded me about something, but it made me really feel like, and I had read that means he really cared. He really cared. Because they have that saying, spare the rod, spoil the child. And Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj talks about that, where once there was this, and he had the experience. He was on a rickshaw with another sannyasi, his godbrother, and he saw this man beating this young boy, just beating him, and it was a woman standing by, with cow dung and stuff to put on the wounds. And he got out and said, he thought it was maybe he caught the boy stealing from the shop or something, and he went to him and, begged him, please. And the man bowed down and paid obeisance. He got up and he told him, actually, this is my son. And I'm working as a laborer, and his mother even has to work to help to put him in a special school to get training. But he hasn't been going, and he's been going out and playing. He said, I don't want my son to become and have to work like I'm doing. So he was disciplining him. And Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj said that actually that shows love. Because if he didn't discipline him, he would grow up. This is what Mother Yasoda was doing with Krishna, doing Damodar Leela. What was Mother Yasoda? Why was she binding Krishna? Can anyone say? Why was she trying to bind Krishna?
She did not want him to become a letter.
A debauchee. He's a naughty boy. He'll keep doing like this. He'll be naughty, and he'll grow up to be like a no-good. Think he can do everything, steal from everybody and do all kinds of stuff? No, I have to discipline him. So in the same way, what does the word disciple mean?
Discipline.
Yeah, that we allow ourselves, we're surrendering to be disciplined. So Gurudev said that once. He said, sometimes people think, bad guru, he chastised me, he's no good. So Prabhupada would do the same thing. He would chastise. So sometimes in the process, and this is my experience, sometimes some type of situation where I know maybe I shouldn't be in, I start feeling guilty. But that guilty conscience is guru in your heart saying, what are you doing? And when you get to the point where you feel like, well, I'm not going to feel guilty again, and I know someone who told me that, I said, well, you're becoming shameless. You're becoming shameless. If you can't follow the order of your Gurudev and do what you promised him you were going to do, then you're becoming shameless. And that's not a good thing. So, if I don't want to continue to speak, I want others to have an opportunity to offer some Pushpanjali or some glorification of Srila Prabhupada. But it's not that it's a hurtful thing, but when I really start thinking and go back, because I don't feel like, at least the conception, I've understood something of the conception that Prabhupada has never left, Gurudev has never left. But realistically, I haven't gone deep enough in my heart to get that connection. And I think, how is that going to happen one day? How is that going to happen? What is the aim and object of our life is to have that type of association with those devotees that we can connect, and those conceptions will grow and expand and expand. Consciousness expands. Those 5 stages of consciousness: covered consciousness, stunted consciousness, budding consciousness, blossoming consciousness, and fully blossomed consciousness. So at least we're at the budding consciousness stage and blossoming. But we have to come to the fully blossomed stage. So like Mahaprabhu mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he planted, the seed has been planted by our Guru Dev and our Guru Varga. Now it's growing, so we have to water it, take care of it, and cut the weeds out of the way of our unlimited, mad, crazy desires. Those mad, crazy desires, it's like, and I've mentioned this previously, it's like getting some oil and mix it with the water and think we can shake it up. Oh, now oil and water together. So we try to mix spiritual with material. They don't connect. They don't. It may look like, oh, this is working good. Then the next thing you know,
Not for long.
kaboom! Because the nature of material, it's like nectar in the beginning, and then it's suffering in the end. This is the nature of the material world. Can't get no satisfaction. No matter how hard we try. That song was right.
That's from 55th Street.
Yeah.
Right?
And I try. Can't get no satisfaction material. The only satisfaction comes when we derive whatever pleasure will automatically come in pleasing Krishna. But it's about, first it will begin with Guru, Hari Guru and Vaishnavas. Without their satisfaction, when we connect that conception in our heart to their satisfaction, when we see them happy, that's it. But it will begin first with Guru. Then Krishna is automatically pleased. So today, we're praying at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, and our Guru Varga, that the mercy continues to shower upon us, and that mercy will be that we will develop the proper conceptions. If we have misconceptions, something ain't right. And we should all try to get clarification as much as possible. If we read something and we're not sure, ask somebody. If we're still not satisfied, ask someone else. Ask someone who can help you. And it shouldn't be something that's agreeable to you because of a material situation. It has to be something that's going toward pure bhakti. If it's not, it's going to mislead you. And so many people are being misled. It's just like going to the store and you got a diamond and it's a real diamond or a rare coin and you don't know what its real value is, and you take to somebody and say, this is only worth $5. I'll give you $5 for it. And then they go and you come back next week, they won lotto. They got millions for it. So we have to, with our sincerity and guidance of superior Vaishnavas and Guru, we can understand something of the nature of these things. So, I don't want to ramble on anymore. Thank you so much, Prabhus. Manchakopa Trubhischa, Kripa Sindhu Bhiyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. So anyone have any comments, questions, or any clarifications? Praise Didi.
She's speaking.
Yeah.
I wasn't just able to catch you.
I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight in which he offered my respectful obeisances unto him. Srila Vishnupada Srila Narayan Maharaj gave the definition of Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pracharini. And he says that Gauravani Pracharini means that Srila Prabhupada came to establish the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. That means pure love for Krishna. And in such a way that he was ordered by his spiritual master in his whole life. He said, I never forgot Krishna. I don't remember 1 minute when I ever forget Krishna. That means that he was always engaged in Krishna consciousness, 100%, chanting in his business, in his family life. And then he met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and he told him, you are an uneducated man. Just preach the glories of Lord Chaitanya in the English-speaking world. So he took it very seriously, but it wasn't the proper time. Many years passed, and he was writing articles. He was attending the temple, just playing the mridanga and in kirtan, and always thinking about his mission. He used to tell people, oh, my Guru Maharaj ordered me to go to the Western world. And it had to come true, but when the time is right. So years passed, and Srila Prabhupada took sannyas and started writing Srimad Bhagavatam, getting prepared to come to the Western world in such a way that he says, I have no knowledge, I have no qualification, I'm just depend on the mercy of Krishna, my Guru Maharaj, and the Vaishnavas. He was so humble that even he was highly qualified as Sakya Vishavatar, he didn't take any credit for himself. And when he came to America, in his way, in the Jaladuta, he had 2 heart attacks. And he just was showing us by that even when we are in a very stressful condition, we shouldn't lose faith in the protection of Krishna and the spiritual master. He was just depending on them, and Krishna came and gave him assurance that he will be able to fulfill his mission. So when he came, he went through so many different stages of austerity, just having to associate with all these hippies and cooking for them, washing the dishes for them, waiting in a line to take a bath, and everything. He was so humble. That was one of the teachings we should learn, to be humble, because otherwise we won't accomplish our mission. Once Dr. Kapoor visited Srila Prabhupada because he was in Allahabad with his business, and Srila Prabhupada gave him some tonic for the brain, and then Dr. Kapoor said, oh, that tonic really worked. I just went to my examination and I did very good, but now you have to give me a prescription for becoming Krishna conscious. And Srila Prabhupada answered, I'm working on it. So next time Dr. Kapoor came, he told him, I just found a formula for that elixir, that tonic. Is become more humble than a grass on the street, and more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of force, prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. And then that's the formula we're supposed to learn and keep it in our hearts, that unless we become respectful to Vaishnavas and humble and seeing Krishna in everybody's heart, we won't be able to make any spiritual advancement. And Srila Prabhupada many times mentions in his books that Krishna is more satisfied when you please his devotees than glorify them, than when you glorify Krishna himself. So the other way is that when you commit an aparat, an offense against a pure devotee, then all your bhakti is spoiled. So we have to be very, very careful, to be very respectful to Vaishnavas, and always glorify our spiritual master, because this is the path of perfection. You cannot make any advancement unless you're just serving and glorifying and follow the spiritual master's instructions. Srila Prabhupada gave the example. He said, I came here under the order of my spiritual master. And of course, Krishna had made a plan for him to be able to expand these teachings of Lord Chaitanya all over the world. And that way, we're supposed to understand that in order for us to have any result in our preaching, in our trying to teach others, we have to always depend on Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy, Vaishnava's mercy. And Srila Prabhupada never took credit for anything he did. He always said, oh, this is not due to my Guru Maharaj's mercy, to Krishna's mercy. I'm writing these books, it's not myself, it's Krishna that is dictating every word, and I'm just writing what he says. He was such a humble personality and loving one. He always tried to encourage his disciples in the path of devotion, and just whatever good quality it was, he used to magnify it. He used to tell his God brothers, oh, these are my disciples. They are very great. They are following the four regulative principles. They are chanting. They are having kirtan. And he was so proud of his devotees. But of course, everything was due to his costless mercy, because like the devotee just mentioned, Yasha Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, Mr. Prasada, Nakakutopi. Without the mercy of the spiritual master, we cannot make any advancement. Krishna, by his mercy, show us, because he sees some kind of interest in the soul, he takes us towards the spiritual master. And the spiritual master, by his mercy, he shows us the way towards Krishna. For that reason, we're supposed to glorify Krishna. And the spiritual master is 24 hours a day. Remember him and always think that without his mercy, we are doomed. By his mercy, we can attain Krishna. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and Master of the devotees. O Master, please be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. I think that's all I have to say. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to all the Vaishnavas.
Wonderful, wonderful. Rain.
She's senior.
She's not senior.
She was initiated before me.
You were around.
That doesn't count.
Okay. Anyway, as you know, whatever, if you all feel whatever you feel. Do it till you satisfied.
Whatever it is.
That was wonderful, Dee. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for allowing me to offer a small offering. I'm kind of like out of breath running here, but it's an honor to be here on this wonderful day. I ask that Srila Gurudev Srila Prabhupada shown me with their mercy to be able to continue onwards, forwards and onwards, with their glories. Gauravani Pracharane. I remember Shamwani mentioning so many wonderful topics of Srila Prabhupada in this wonderful, wonderful book, Nectar in the book. And I pray that I can say something that will enliven not only me, my heart, but others. As Srila Prabhupada, and with the help of my Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada was an enormous, magnificent, munificent person. Adhikar, he says you must worship the book Bhagavad as well as the person Bhagavad. So under his guidance, everything started in the U.S. because it was already here for so long. But he brought some kind of glimpse of it here. And like it says, not only in this wonderful Gauravani Pracharya book, but in his other books, he was cutting jungles, meaning all the apparatus and all the negative at that time, place, and circumstance.
Misconceptions.
And misconceptions as well. Thank you. It was a hard journey, but he did it because he was under guidance, under the anugatya of Guru, his Guru, and his Swaminiji. When he was sick in the Jaladuta, he mentioned always, Swaminiji, if you're here to help me, please, I'm under guidance with you. I can leave any time, but, under their help is how he made it. And so, to help us to do what? Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. Try to understand this, all the 4 verses. I can't recite every one of them right now, but I will say that anyone listening to investigate these things, because it is in the utmost importance. As my Gurudev say, don't be hopeless, don't be weak. Preach about Srila Prabhupada's glories. What are his glories? What did he come to give? Rupanuga, Raganuga, Diksha, Shiksha, all these understandings that just come out now. But before, when I first started in the movement, it wasn't like that. For me, for others, different. But then Gurudev presented from my husband. He says Gurudev is a perfect person for you to have guidance under. And that's what I did. Under his guidance, under Srila Prabhupada's guidance, I asked that they please help me continue their program, what they brought. And no se falsa, don't stop, don't false, just keep going. No matter what happens to this material body. I'm a little nervous, but I will say I'm so elated to be here at this beautiful Radha temple. I think all must come take a partake in this beautiful place. This temple is home, home, home. We can't do it without you. We may be able to do things at home, but the gathering, the association of devotees is so important in this Vaishnava life. And the community is quite beautiful and strong. And this is what Srila Prabhupada wanted.
Krishna Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sarasham Toyam Ganashtayi Tambaram Baranam Shamatam Narayanam Tom Sarasam
Gotta put it closer to your mouth.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Dasnaya Bhakti Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paskatya Deshatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Very wonderful. These intimate gatherings. Sometimes I wish they were more attended, but
Slightly less intimate.
I appreciate when they're very intimate. Because, to speak in front of familiar faces is a lot easier. I can see, for the most part, I have relationships and experiences with all of you. And outside of the temple, and then for everyone in here, inside, within the temple, I see your faces, I hear you speaking, and see your service. I'm appreciating what Srila Prabhupada built all those years ago for us in the West. Reading Srila Prabhupada's books is my connection, also associating with Srila Prabhupada's dedicated servants and disciples, even if they weren't initiated by him, but those who take Srila Prabhupada's mission into their hearts. I'm learning from all of you. I'm very much, my body, very attached. I know that because maybe I'm gradually moving away from that, but I know that I'm attached because I can tell by the things I'm interested in. I'm interested in things in the world, as well as Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and so many other books, Jaiva Dharma, some of my favorite books. But I'm attracted to the world, but because of Srila Prabhupada's writings, as well as Srila Gurudev's writing, and any of our Acharya's writings that I've had the privilege to try to read, to study, to some extent to understand, then the scope of my awareness increases, so that when I'm attracted to things about the real identity of Black people and where they're really from and what's being kept from them and why they've been so oppressed and downtrodden in the face of the world. And when I'm attracted to hearing how to get out of that, I realize that I'm very much attached to my body. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm a Black woman. But because of Srila Prabhupada, for one, he's the first one who introduced me in any meaningful way. Because I used to read books by yogis, so-called reading, but I didn't study with the group, but I would read books by yogis. And I would realize the teachings of beyond the body and reincarnation, and that the soul is different from the body. But Srila Prabhupada, Jai Shri Radha Govinda, Jai Shri Nitai Gaur, Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Shri Guru. So I would read about, I'm attracted to things, but because of Srila Prabhupada introducing me in the most significant way to the concept of the soul proper and how the soul is related to the material energy and how the soul is related to the spiritual energy, then I can realize that these things I'm attracted to are very finite. They're truth. There might be some truth to, what happened, who cursed, the black people got cursed. There's some truth to that. Because when you read things in the Bible and you see what's going on, you say, well, that's happening to this race right now. Yeah, that's what's happening. So, and there was a curse, and this has been written down for, a few thousand years or however long it's been written down for in the Bible. So yeah, there's some history and there's some understanding. But 2,000 years ago, that's the drop in the bucket. Srimad Bhagavatam is taking us to different kalpas, different days of Brahma, and kings, rulers that were pious, great kings ruling the earth, and demonic kings like Venu, right? Vena. Yeah. That's what I said, right? Because I know I'm getting it wrong, but like King Vena, he was made from a pure devotee who did not want to, Uttanapa, maybe, he did not want to be a king anymore, so they only could install his son, but he was demonic. Where did he come from? He's from this line that is producing great kings, and yet he was horrible to people. He kept everyone in line because he was so horrible to people that thieves and rogues were afraid to act out. So I'm just saying, okay, and then they had to get rid of King Vena. He was a little bit too bad, even though he did, he knew something, but they had to get rid of him because the sages said, no, he's not going to do what a king should do for the welfare of the people, so we have to get rid of him. And from his bones, they churned his bones and made King Prithu. And King Prithu was this great king who when the sages tried to pray, the bards tried to praise him in the beginning, when he was being coronated, he wouldn't even let them. He wasn't even trying to hear it. He was like, you can't praise someone who hasn't shown their work yet. So he was, and then he did show it. He was an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, but not a Shakti avatar. Avatar. Yeah, he was an avatar, but and he was a great king. So, okay, so when I'm reading about this, and then I'm thinking about black Hebrew Israelites, Jews, the real Jews, and stuff like this on the earthly level, you know, and what we're going through as a people. And it helps me to realize that even if that's true, even if there's some truth to all that, it doesn't go beyond this body. And this body is on its way out. And even if I was 20, this body would be on its way out. This body never really had anything to offer me, so why should I be worried about, you know, some oppression because of a tone in a skin color or a curl in a strand of hair? You know, why am I worried about that? And this is because of what Prabhupada so mercifully poured his heart into, writing in English the concepts and the tattva and the siddhant of Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's nothing but gratitude, and I would like to develop it more because, like Booney was saying, how often are we, you know, diverted in our attention all the time, you know, every minute of 5 seconds, I'm like, yes, Srimad Bhagavatam, yes, and then it goes on too long, and I'm like, oh, where were we? Because I got distracted, so. But the teachings are so potent that even when someone is like, what do they call it? They don't call it retarded anymore. They call it,
Autistic.
huh?
Autistic.
No, another word. 2 words.
Something impaired? No?
Well, anyway,
Mentally disabled, intellectually impaired, something like that.
Yeah.
Challenged?
they have something. And anyway,
Autistic.
when I think about it, no, but autism isn't retardation. Anyway, but I'm retarded. My brain is retarded. You know, my thinking is retarded. Especially when I'm exposed to the personalities in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the 6 Goswamis. I mean, all that they could do. So, but even with this retardation, there's hope, there's sukriti, there's knowledge that can be imparted because it goes beyond the mechanism of the brain that has been spoiled from my lifestyle and came deficient because of my karma. So it goes beyond that because my soul is actually developing in spite of my brain. And these are the teachings that Srila Prabhupada gave his life to and to help us. So that's why I'm grateful, and that's why I need to develop even more gratitude because nothing can compare. So I'll stop here.
You have darshan, do you?
come on,
Thank you.
everybody, we have 15 more minutes, everyone speak a little something.
You have more association.
You have high class of guru though, you should be speaking something.
First, there's a way to avoid that wrestling, or you turn the volume off between passing it.
Oh.
Yeah, just for future reference.
Namaste Saraswati Kamavani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sinamagi Pachyatari Shatari Yaschavi Vasindri Vachanapatitam Tvaranavina Shri Namaha Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, giving me the greatest gift that anyone could receive in this life. And we're all so lucky, feeling so lucky to be in this room with all of you Vaishnavas who are taking your spiritual life so seriously. I wish I could be purified so that I also could take my life take my spiritual life seriously. I'm going to tell about my
Please. Yes, it's very sweet.
Okay, I'm so fortunate to have been in New Dwarka as a little baby with my mother, who was visiting the temple, and Srila Prabhupada was staying in New Dwarka. And on one occasion, he was coming to visit the Grihasta building for the first time, and it was directly right across the street from the temple. So my mother and I were standing right in the doorway of that building, and I looked across through the doorway and saw Srila Prabhupada and all of his devotees standing outside of the temple. And at that moment, I felt this very, very strong connection, spiritual connection towards him. And I could describe it as a magnet, attaching to him. I felt so strong in the spiritual bond. And as he came towards, walking across the street, my mother said when he comes through the doorway, make sure to offer obeisances.
How
And
old were you?
I was 2.
2.
Wow.
And when I was just thinking in my head, I don't want to go down because I don't want this connection to ever break. But of course, I just felt like he was glowing. And as he came up the stairs and the door, I offered obeisances. And when I got up, he was looking straight into my eyes. He knew that I had this, my soul was longing for this darshan. And he looked into I felt direct connection with who I really am, spirit soul. And I felt this shower of his pure love for Radha and Krishna grow through my crown chakra, and every cell in my body illuminated. And when it hit the very tips of my toes, I was free from my body. And I was completely in bliss. And all of a sudden I was this passenger, and he started showing me that he could see my past, my present and future. And I was just seeing different lives go by as he mercifully glanced over me. And it stopped at this present body and this present life. And he communicated with me that I had a lot of karma that I would burning in this life, and there would be lots of suffering. And he's, with that shower of his love, that he would always be here for me. And yeah, I wish that every day I could remember this darshan, that I have received his causeless mercy upon me. I feel so fortunate to have this experience. I feel, he gave me gifts to be able to see beyond what the material eye can see, but I'm so covered over that I'm not seeing clearly. But I know that his mercy is with me always, and I feel so fortunate to have my mother with me as a great example. She's such a sincere devotee of Srila Prabhupada, and she's showing me by her example that she is truly taking advantage of all of his mercy. And I pray that Srila Prabhupada, by his mercy, I can become purified and be able to have that spiritual vision. And by my Guru Maharaj's mercy, I can understand the depths of Srila Prabhupada's mercy. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much.
Did everyone
There.
speak?
Oh, Jay.
We got headphones.
You can hold it if you speak. Whatever you want. And then you just turn this, once you have it on, you just turn this on just to like. Okay. I turned it off so that it doesn't rustle between speakers.
Hello. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Nama Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Vitale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamane, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani, Prasthaya, Yadasesha Srimavadi, Pasatari Kani. Nama Vishnu Padaya, Radhikaya Priyamane, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Narayani Dinamane, Sadhani Prani Prashnena, Sadhani Prani Prashnena Stupa. Tadvani Pranipatena Hare Krishna Vaisavya Vaishanti Ganam Gananam Patirtashanam Brahmande Brahmane Kron Bhagavan Jiva Krishna Prasadi Pada Bhakti Vakati Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Sri Chaitanya Manavishtam Savitanya Putale Soya Rupa Karamaya Dati Savaranta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpa Kiviyascha Kripa Siddhavaicha Ajitana Pavani Vaishnava Namo Namaha. So today we are observing the Tirabhava of Srila Bhakti, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the 48th year as he disappeared from our vision in 1977. And all the devotees that were around at the time, I'm sure, remember that for the previous month or two, ever since he had gone to England, and we got reports of from devotees from there that he was very ill, and then he went back to Vrindavan. And from that point on, the devotees, at least in Atlanta, and I think all over the world, were observing a Maha book distribution. Every day we would go out in the streets. So some devotees were going to the airport, and we had library party, we had the Radha Damodar traveling parties. And at the time I was just, we were just doing parking lots. In the summer we did the Smoky Mountains. We had done it for a couple of years at that point, from about May till October. So this was, after that just finished, then we were doing the parking lots and streetlights with BTGs and smaller books, and some devotees were going to the airports. And every day, at the end of the day, then and also in the beginning of the day, before the class, they would announce the daily scores of the book distribution as well as Prabhupada's health and any relevant topics dealing with our Srila Prabhupada, which made a big impression because devotees were all praying, and we also, toward the end, had 24-hour kirtans. So when Prabhupada became very ill, then devotees would take turns, like a few hours a day, chanting or reading from the Srila Prabhupada's books, mostly Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, etc. And this went on around the clock. So it was a pretty intense time of purification. I remember one report coming from there was that Srila Prabhupada had raised his hand and his skin and bones and said, "I am living proof that the soul the soul is transcendental to the body." And all the devotees, Haribol. And at the same time, it being ecstatic that we knew he was going to leave, at the same paradoxical time, we also were afraid of what was going to happen when he left, and also not being in our vision, and what would be the state of the affairs after, especially the older devotees who sort of knew. As I was a younger devotee, only been around 2 or 3 years, then I didn't really have any idea what was going to happen. So I just want to offer my heartfelt obeisances to my spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And he's actually opened the floodgates of this Lord Chaitanya's movement. Before it was sort of locked up in India, and outside of India, except for a few books, one of them being Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. What was it? Life and Precepts of Lord Chaitanya, was that the name? So that had gone to McGill University. Otherwise, there was an influx of Indian gurus, but no one had actually preached the truth. They were all, as Prabhupada called them, uptown swamis. Well, Srila Prabhupada came, and we have one of the original devotees staying here, Chitananda Prabhu, who always gives a little talk at the ISKCON temple. Maybe he'll give it tonight here, I don't know. But he gives a little synopsis, very short, of what Prabhupada was like when he was there in New York. And a few other devotees had met Prabhupada at that time that are here in Alachua. Prabhupada Damodar Swami, he also had met Srila Prabhupada at that time. So from this little tiny storefront in New York, by 1971 it had already exploded into this giant movement, which was George Harrison and the Beatles had known about it, and they had a big album, and Hare Krishna in London. Prabhupada got the headlines. He was so thrilled to see, Hare Krishna mantra startles London, I think, something like that. So he always liked to hear great news about the preaching. That was his life's work, was the Srimad Bhagavatam. He states in one place that just like a fire, if there's a fire in a house, people come running to put it out, even if it's not perfectly done. Then still the idea is that the fire of material life is taken over in this Kali Yuga. And so if Prabhupada brings the water, and we're trying to put out that fire, even though imperfectly done, it's still a glorious effort. I mean, we could talk for years and decades about Srila Prabhupada. Some devotees actually do. They write many books. If you look at Parisari's, and he has a whole series, a diary that he had put out. So anyone that wants to read about Prabhupada, and we also have many devotees in our Sangha who have written papers. It's just going to keep on increasing. Or maybe it'll go undercover for a while. We don't know what the future brings. It's really sort of, as Prabhupada says, dependent on us. That's what the first preaching we got was the Bhagavad Gita. That Prabhupada said you can take over in 18 days, but we don't have that kind of potency or faith. So, all right, done about. Did you
speak? Yeah.
How about the gentleman?
Are we going to Tangi?
Tangi.
Which one?
Tangi.
I don't wanna take time.
Yeah, why
No,
not?
please, we
Say
wanna listen
something.
to you. Please, didn't you?
Everybody spoke here, what about you?
Oh, it's okay.
Are you Ravesh's son?
No.
No, okay. No problem.
Look, yes, yeah.
That's Kishore's son. Brother.
Hey, Shorty,
Is there 2 minutes
Shorty.
time?
Yes.
¿quiere hablar?
I offer my Dandavat pranams to my Gurudev, my Vaishnavas, my Guru Pens, my Guru Bhais, all sentient beings, and especially Param Jagat Guru Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. So, most people in the West came to Bhakti through him. And of course, I was no different. And over the years, you hear people say, you know, that his books, everything is in his books, but Gurudev would say this, under lock and key, right? Under lock and key. My experience was, it wasn't under lock and key, it was obvious. In 1989, when I had come into the Sangha, I actually came into the Sangha of his disciples, I think in 87. In 89, I had spent some time in an ashram of his, created by his disciples, and that is when I began the study of his Grantha commentaries. And from day one, all I saw was Manjari Bhav. I mean, I don't know how anybody can miss it. It's on every page of Chaitanya Charitamritam, which is a topmost Rasik Grantha. So, but I quickly realized some other people just weren't getting that download, because when you would ask questions about Raganuga Bhakti in an ISKCON class, you got shut down like nobody's business, okay? I was very confused. I'm like, the math is not mathing here. I just didn't understand it. It was wild to me. And other books were also circulating through, like Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Nam Bhajan and his Harinam Chintamani, which outlines the process of doing Astakal Leela Smaranam and all of these things. And so it was a little bit strange for me to be reading this and then for people to be saying that this is not our path, when that is the only path of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So one of his disciples, you know him, he writes books.
Sachara?
Yes, Stephen Rosen. So it was so funny because at the ashram I was staying in, once in a while, he lived outside, and once in a while they would allow him to give a class within the temple. And he would talk about Raganuga Bhakti. Well, very quickly it became, they found an excuse not to let him give classes anymore in the temple room, so then what had to happen was he had to be moved into, what is that? There's an office, I think, in every ISKCON temple, a special office. What is it called? Life membership, okay. So we all, like, every couple of weeks we were, corralled into the life membership office on an off day of the week. And, we would gather there and Satyaraj Prabhu, and we would all talk about Raganuga Bhakti and Manjari Bhav. Well, then that got shut down. What's going on here? So then once in a while we would start going to Satyaraj Prabhu's house. That also got shut down. So anyway, like this, and from the beginning I was praying to Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, to Nityananda Prabhu, to Sri Kishoriji. I want this bhav, and I need a guru who can give me this bhav. And within a few years of praying like that, then I met Gurudev. So for me, even if you read his not a pamphlet, but it's a tiny booklet. What is it with Krishna on the front, and it's called Krishna?
All the way to Krishna?
Reservoir of pleasure?
Yeah.
It just says
Reservoir
Krishna, the
pleasure.
reservoir of
Reservoir
pleasure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how anybody could
Such a
read
pretty book.
even something like that and not come away with Braj Ras, Gopi Bhav,
What is this pleasure?
Kinkari Seva, like it's just there. It's all over. I don't know how the memo got missed. I just don't
You had
understand.
the other card.
Anyway.
Others don't.
Anyway, so one thing I wanted to say also before I forget, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj has a disciple, Apurva Das. Does anybody know him?
Yeah.
He's a great cook.
Yes.
Of course.
So he created this recipe which I replicated today. So we'll see if it turns out as good as his. But anyway, so I just wanted to say that. By his mercy, I got introduced to the concept of Manjari Bhav, I would say from day one. And it's by his kripa that most it's by his kripa that most Western devotees have, come to this path of Raghunath Bhakti. Yes, it's really true. So that's all that I wanted to share. But one more thing.
Go for it.
So Prabhuji here was talking about the concept of senior Vaishnava. So on Gurudev's first tour to England, many shenanigans happened on that tour, but one of the shenanigans was Gurudev's first Western disciples was a small cluster of British devotees.
First Western.
Yeah. Vishaka, Madan Mohan,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Vishaka, Madan Mohan, Chitra, Lalit Madhav, Indu Lekha, and a few others whom I'm forgetting the names. But they, for years, from the 80s, they were asking Gurudev to come to the West. Gurudev was saying, I won't go. Well, finally in 1996, he did go. And somehow, and they were so excited, and they were making all kinds of plans, and what happened was shenanigans. Gurudev arrived in England, and some disciples of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, some who are with Gurudev now, some who are not probably any longer, but they said to Gurudev, Maharaji, the homes in England are very small, and you've come here for our Srila Prabhupada's disciples to help us. So we're requesting if you could ask your direct disciples not to come to the programs so that all of us can be there, because they've already heard from you. So no way. Okay, so the devotees of England were like, who are these people? And number two, we don't live in India. Like, we don't get to hear from Gurudev every day. And when we're there, he speaks in Hindi, and there was probably only at the time one of them who was fluent in Hindi. The rest, you got a translation or you didn't. Sometimes it could be hit or miss. So, oh God, devotees were crying, heartbroken. So Gurudev said, and then I said, I wasn't crying, I wasn't heartbroken, I just said, Gurudev, no, this isn't happening, okay? Like, we quarreled with Gurudev. So he said, don't worry. He says, don't worry. So Gurudev said that he made sure everybody came to this one class. Actually, that was one of the houses that was big enough. So everybody was there. Otherwise, it's true, there were very tiny apartments. The space was like even less than half of this room. So Gurudev said, there are some people who think because they took Diksha in 1968 or 1970, that, oh, they're a senior Vaishnav now. And they might even think because they're a senior citizen, oh, I'm a senior Vaishnav now. He says, but I have disciples in India, very teeny aged. Teeny aged could mean teenager, it could mean even younger than that. That's how Gurudev spoke. So very teeny aged girls and very teeny aged boys. That when I call on them to speak in Mathura, they said, if you were to understand what they were speaking, you would think that you don't know a drop of Bhakti Siddhant whatsoever. He said, so you have to understand that senior Vaishnava has nothing to do with the year you took Diksha, your age, nothing like this. It has to do with one thing, Gurudev said. And what was that thing? Mamata. Mamata for Guru, Vaishnavas, and Jugal Kishore. Mamata means possessiveness, mineness. That Gurudev is mine. Vaishnavas are mine. Jugal Kishore are mine. And he said, dependent on how thick your mamata is, to that extent you are a, quote, senior Vaishnava. And then he clarified, in terms of external etiquette, Everybody offers pranams to everybody. Everybody offers an appropriate type of hierarchical external respect. That's social etiquette. But it should never ever be assumed that because someone may be 15, 16 years old and have Diksha for 8 months, that they're somehow junior in terms of mamata to someone who's been Dikshit for half a century. So I just wanted to reiterate what Prabhuji here was saying with Gurudev's words. And so,
Okay.
I didn't
thank
go
you
into
very much.
detail. I didn't go into detail.
Thanks.
That's good.
Yeah. So, anybody else?
I think it's time.
Sean didn't speak?
Artie.
Sean, I didn't speak. I didn't know that you didn't speak.
Oh, wait.
Put it on us.
Shan das, no das, no das, no das.
Pick up on this.
Just gonna share some things that I have come across over the years. I'm not gonna speak for like a long time because basically this is about Srila Prabhupada. I grew up in Harlem, and I at one point found out about Srila Prabhupada and the movement, and I went to see, like what was going on, what was everyone talking about, and see, it's, like I said again, like I said, sometimes it's just, but basically, oh goodness.
Grew up in Harlem,
Yeah. I grew up in Harlem,
and went to see.
but the thing is that I had a point. Okay. Well, how we see and how we saw Srila Prabhupada, and of course, I looked to Prabhupada as a big time hero because at one point the devotees came down to Harlem, and you will never see or have any kind of this kind of action or stuff going on in that particular place. So I mean, I was just sitting here, and as I was hearing like some of the talks and whatnot, very lovely and wonderful, but I was definitely just fixed and focused on Srila Prabhupada, because for me also at that time that was Srila Prabhupada. He was, we found out long, about him, who is he, and what he's done. So again, I'm just kind of soaking up what I'm hearing about Srila Prabhupada, knowing, like I said, because I was one of those Harlem boys, and by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, no one else, that Harlem boy made his way to, out of that situation. So again, I was just and of course hearing all the wonderful, speeches and things that the devotees, were speaking there. I was just kind of, soaking that up because that's the best thing for me to do right now. Anyway, so yeah, I just wanted to thank you all for some.
I spoke when I came in.
A little more, we didn't hear. I was not here. Otra vez.
There's a saying that you can know what type of devotee you're in the midst of when you're in front of a pure devotee, Mahabhagavata. Just by seeing him, you're inspired to chant the holy name. So today I was on different forums watching and hearing the different glorifications around the world with Srila Prabhupada. And we could tell he's the greatest of the Mahabhagavatas because on this day, all over the world, everyone is glorifying his activities, the name, form, qualities of Krishna. And I was just thinking how wonderful it is that just one person came to the West, and now on this day, everywhere, all over the world, they're glorifying Mahaprabhu's servant. And how fortunate we are to have had his darshan, or had the darshan of those who served him, or the darshan of those who were his bosom friends, the darshans of his teachings and his books and his compilations. On this day, I just want to offer my obeisance to Srila Prabhupada and to Mahaprabhu for sending him through the order of Srila Bhakti Saranta and Bhakti Vinod Thakur. That in this time period, we're very fortunate to hear the glorification of Mahaprabhu and his servants, and to hear the pastime of Srimad Bhagavatam Chaitanya Charitamrita, the glories of the holy name, which is the most patita pavana for all of the fallen souls, because without him coming here, where would any of us be? And without him sending Srila Gurudev here to help us, where
Can you
would
put
any
the
of us be?
microphone closer?
So we're very, very fortunate in that way. Haribol. Dhanavad Pranam Srila Prabhupada
Jai.
Gurudev Ki
Jai.
Tirubhav Ki Jai.
Mahotsav, Srila Prabhupada, Tirubhav, TT Ki Jai.
Jai.
Who wants to do Guru Puja?
I'll do that.
I'll do it.
I don't know.
Should I take them off?
No.
Keep them on, doesn't matter. Should Prabhupada authorize socks on the west.
We do.
I never have them on.
Okay.
One day
Somatinandana, Bye.
Jai.
Gurudev ki
Jai.
Ram Ram ki
Jai.
Jai Nicholas Padishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasat Shishima Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki
Jai.
Nicholas Padishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasat Shishima Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Nicholas Padishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasat Shishima Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj ki
Jai.
Nicholas Padishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasat Shishima Bhakti Vedanta Ram Goswami Maharaj ki Nichalila Pravishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasat Shishimad Keshari Bhakti Pragyan Keshari Goswami Maharaj ki Nichalila Pravishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasat Shishimad Bhakti Rasakshira Goswami Maharaj ki Nichalila Pravishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasat Shishimad Bhakti Daita Madhav Maharaj ki Nichalila Pravishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasat Shishimad Bhakti Jivanjanad Goswami Maharaj ki Chalila Pravishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasati Shishmad Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj Jai Chalila Pravishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasati Shishmad Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Goswami Maharaj Jai Chalila Pravishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasati Shishmad Shila Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj ki Jai Chalila Pravishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasati Shishmad Shri Bhakti Shri Surupa Siddhanti Maharaj ki Jai Chalila Pravishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasati Shishmad Bhakti Gaurava Vaikanas Maharaj ki Jai Prabhupada Suparikar ki Jai Jai Chalila Pravishtam Vishnu Paraso Tarasati Shishmad Vigadvaranyam Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki Jai Gopishwara Swami Maharaj ki Jai Satam Goswami Rupananda Sastra Sakshirananda Bhakti Vinota Jai Krishna Sarvabhauma Jagannath Swami Maharaj ki Jai Vedanta Acharya Baladev Bhushan Prabhu ki Jai Krishna Chakravarti Thakur ki Jai Tam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu Trai ki Jai Nas Kaviraj Goswami Maharaj ki Jai Sanatan Bhattaragana Shri Jiva Gopal Bhakti Dasaragana Sati Goswami Prabhu ki Jai Srup Damodar Roy Ramanandi Gauru Parishad Devi ki Jai Acharya Harinasa Kaur ki Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Vasari Gaur Bhakti Vrinda ki Jai Tadri Mayapur Samantadri Gaujandri Madhuri Kaudri Vichidri Janadri Mujandri Rungri Vichidri Pamela Namri Nam ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopi Gaur Govardhana Das Raj Mandam ki Jai Sham Kum Radha Kum Vimona Ganga Tosi Bhakti Dev ki Jai Shri Hari Dev ki Jai Om ki Jai Ganga ki Jai Vaishara Mahadev ki Jai Goswami Bhajan Dev ki Jai Shri Charamah Mahotava ki Jai Gopindra ki Jai Govinda Mandir ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Ramagata Bhakti Vrinda ki Jai All glories to the Son of the Lord. All glories to the Son of the Lord.